Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna finally tell you guys about my story with endometriosis leading up to me being diagnosed up until now. And I'm also gonna do my makeup at the same time. I'm in no means a makeup artist. This is gonna be the easiest makeup look because I suck at doing makeup. So let's get started. So I've always had bad cycles. I got my first cycle when I was 10 years old, and from the get, it was really bad. It was heavy and just really painful, and I thought it was normal a little bit because painful cycles kind of run in my family, so I thought it was normal. So I went a long time thinking it was normal, missing school a lot, and it was just bad. By my teenage years, I would say around 15, 16 years old, my mom put me on birth control. Well, the doctor put me on birth control, but me and my mom agreed on it. So I went on the pill with the expectation that my cycles would get lighter and the pain would get better. At first, if I'm not mistaken, it did kind of work, but then my cycle got heavier and more painful. So then right after high school, when I was about 19 years old, they put me on the IUD. So I had the IUD inserted. That lasted probably a week, I want to say, literally just a week. After that week, I had the IUD taken out because I was in absolute pain. At the time, I was working at a grocery store, and at the register, the pain kept getting bad. I had a customer in front of me, tried to play it off. I wanted to excuse myself to the bathroom, but I had the client in front of me, patient, and that didn't go so well. I passed out at my register. From that moment, I went to the doctor and told the doctor, was my primary physician, by the way. This was not a gynecologist. This was my primary physician. He went and took the IUD out because he said I should not be in that much pain. So he took the IUD out, and that's when he recommended that I go see a gynecologist. So I did. I seen a gynecologist, that was associated with that doctor's office. So I had my first appointment. At this point, I believe I was 20 or gonna be 20. Yeah, I was about to be 20. So I go see my first gynecologist. She looked into my history. She asked me a whole bunch of questions, protocol. She then decided to put me on another form of birth control for 3 months, and I would go back 3 months later to do a follow-up. Those 3 months were bad. Pain getting worse, cycle getting more heavy. I don't remember the name of the birth control that she put me on. If I find out, I'll put it in the comments. I remember at the time it was a fairly new birth control that they had just came out with. So I was on that for 3 months. My follow-up appointment came, and I told her how it was not working. My pain was still bad. My cycles were still heavy. So she decided that the best option was to go in and do surgery, so she can see what was going on. That's basically what the surgery was for. So she could see for herself what was going on and take it from there. So I had the surgery. Mind you, this was my second surgery in general. My first surgery was in 2017, July 2017. And this was to remove my appendix. It was an emergency surgery. So this gynae surgery was my second surgery. And this was also in 2017. This was in 2018, July 2018. So I went in for surgery. Of course, you're nervous. Surgery is no joke. So I went in, had the surgery done, didn't see or speak to the doctor until I had my post-op appointment. So for my post-op appointments, I went in and she told me that I had PID, pelvic inflammatory disease. Now, at the time, I kind of knew what that was, but not really. So she told me I had PID, and she was like, we're gonna give you some medicine and you're just gonna have to wait it out. Oh, by the way, you might not be able to have kids. That's exactly how she said it. I walked out of the office crying, absolute crying. She told me to make a follow-up appointment. I was at the desk with my mom waiting to make the follow-up appointment, but I was crying. And that's when my mom told me, did I want a second opinion? And I said yes. So we left. We didn't even make the follow-up appointment. Once that happened, I did do my research and found out a little bit more about PID. Generally, PID is caused by unprotected sex. It is somewhat considered an STD. So I found that really weird because at the time, yes, I had just lost my virginity. I put that out there, but I was with one person, and that person was also just with me. And even if, you know, those weren't the circumstances, it had been a while before I was had sexual intercourse, so that just sounded really weird to me. Obviously, there are other ways you can get it that are a little less likely. Sorry. So that just still sounded weird to me. So I went back to my primary physician and asked to see a different gynecologist. I need to stop focusing on this eye so much. Okay. So I went back to see a different, to ask for a referral to see a different gynecologist. He gave me one and I went to this appointment. Off the bat, I loved this new gynecologist. Absolutely loved him. I had my first appointment with him. He pulled up the pictures from the prior surgery with the other gynecologist, which, by the way, I never seen. So he pulled them up and he was like, just off of me seeing these pictures, you have endometriosis. Now, before this appointment, I had been doing my research to see what possibly was wrong with me. I thought it was maybe PCOS or endometriosis. So when he pulled those pictures up and told me, I can tell you off the bat from looking at these pictures, this is endometriosis, I felt a weight lifted off of me. I felt relieved not to have endometriosis, but to finally be diagnosed. And also to know that I was right, to know that my pain was right, to know that I was not lying. Because another thing is, all these emergency room doctors or other physicians will tell you that you're exaggerating or you're lying about your pain. And that was the case for me when I would go to the ER, just in pain, absolute pain. They would tell me I was lying or that I was exaggerating. So he looked at the pictures and told me I had endometriosis. He told me he was going to put me on a birth control, which he did. And at the time it was, I want to say, fairly new or not used that often, and it was called Oralisa. And he put me on that for 3 months. Cool. I came back for my follow-up appointment after 3 months, and I explained to him that the pain was kind of better, but the heavy cycle was not. It was extremely, extremely bad. So he decided we are going to go in for surgery. I went in to the surgery expecting him. He explained it. He explained that, you know, it would be excision surgery that would go in there and remove any endo that they find, which was like, okay, great, do that. So I went in for surgery expecting that. When I came out of surgery, he did speak to me. He's the first physician or surgeon that does surgery and speaks to you right when you're in the recovery room. So he did come speak with me. and he explained how he did see a lot of endo and how he did have to remove my right ovary. That was devastating for me because I've always wanted to be a mom, I've always wanted to have kids, and just losing any part of you is hard. It's rough, and it's something hard to hear. So he explained to me that he had to remove, I am all over the place, my left ovary, my right ovary. See what I mean? Because it had too many cysts. So I was, like I said, devastated. It was hard. But again, I wasn't crazy. My pain was valid. So when I went in for my post-op appointment, he kind of just went over it again, explained to me how he had to remove my right ovary, how I had a lot of cysts, and how my endo was actually really bad. He did say that it falls around stage 4 of endo. They don't normally really give you stages, but it's kind of like the best way to explain it. And I did get pictures to take home with me after surgery, so I did see it for myself as well. It was really bad. So from that point, he decided to put me on another birth control, but a more aggressive one that would help also control my body making cysts. So he put me on the Lupron shot. I don't remember if that was every month or every 3 months, honestly, but I was on that for a while, and it helped with the pain. I would say that the pain was pretty much gone, but the heavy cycles were not. So when I had my follow-up appointment with him, after that, he was honest with me and told me that there was not much else he could do for me that he felt he could do for me. So he wanted to recommend me to a different gynecologist who would be better equipped to help me. So that's what he did. He recommended me to a different office that was further away. So I had my first appointment with them. The thing about having endo and about seeing new gynecologists all the time is that every gynecologist you see is going to want to do surgery so they can go in and see for themselves where you're at and what course of treatment they would do. So I went in, and of course they decided to do surgery. So my first surgery with the third gynecologist I would see was in February of 2020. I'm looking at my notes here. So I went in, had that surgery. She told me, yeah, my endo was kind of bad. She did say it wasn't as bad as the prior surgery, which was great. And then from there, she decided she would put me on the depot. So we went on the depot. And the depot kind of helped. My cycles weren't extremely heavy. I mean, they were kind of heavy still, but not to the extreme that they were before. So that was great. And then in September of 2020, I started to notice pain again. Really bad pain. Kind of localized in my pelvic area and leaning towards my left side. So of course I made an appointment, go see the gynecologist, and she says, let's go ahead and do an ultrasound to see what's going on. So they did the ultrasound. Turned out I had a cyst on my left ovary. Don't remember how big that one was, but her recommendation was to go in and remove it before it caused any more problems. So that's what we did. I had another surgery September 2020 to remove a cyst. She did find some endo during that surgery, but not to the extreme. So after that surgery, went back on the depot, was doing okay. Not great, but okay. And then December of 2020 rolls around and I start to notice pain again. And the thing about this pain is that it felt very similar to the prior pain where they found the cyst. So I go in for another appointment, and sure enough, they tell me you have a cyst. This cyst was 7 centimeters. Pretty big for a cyst. So, of course, my doctor says we're gonna have to go in and do surgery to remove the cyst. So that's what we do. We go in for another surgery to remove that cyst. And then I go back on the depot. I was doing great for a while. Pain was controlled. My cycle wasn't extremely heavy, which is great. And then 2021 comes, and October of 2021, I have another surgery due to pain, due to a cyst. Which was very frustrating, because at this point, that was surgery number 7. And I was just done. I was mentally exhausted and just felt like giving up. By giving up, I mean getting a hysterectomy and hoping that that would help. That is no guarantee, but it has proven to help some women with endometriosis. So I go in for surgery to remove the cyst. That was great. Healing process was not so great. My belly button incision did eventually open up and start leaking and causing pain. But other than that, that surgery was fine. Oh, I did forget to mention the surgery that I was diagnosed with, endo, and that I had with the great gynecologist. I did catch an infection from that surgery, which turned out to be PID. They believe I got it from during the surgery, basically. So I ended up in the hospital for a whole week recovering from that. And the doctor kind of laughed and was like, it's funny how now you get PID, but when you were diagnosed the first time with PID, that was a misdiagnosis. Which I'm pretty sure I could have done something about that, about being misdiagnosed, but I just didn't have the energy for that, so I didn't. So since October of 2021, I was doing fine. I was still on the depot. Ooh, this is so pink. I was still on the depot. And then most recently, August of 2022, I started to feel pain again. So we went in to do surgery to remove another cyst. Now, mind you, before this, back in November, after my other surgery, I did decide to get off the depot to try to get pregnant, because the more surgeries you have, the more scar tissue that grows, the more your fertility is affected. So I did decide to get off the depot to try to get pregnant. Now, mind you, because I was on the depot for so long, my cycle did have to regulate, and it was going to take a while for everything to regulate and for me to have a chance to get pregnant. With that being said, me being off the depot did cause me to have a cyst, which caused me to need surgery this past August, which is the video I made not that long ago. And that surgery went extremely well. I'm not in pain. The cycle that I did have right after surgery was a little heavy, but it's very much could be because I just had surgery and was very tender in there. I believe that's what that was. That's why I was so had a heavy cycle and was in some pain. But since then, I'm doing pretty good. My incision in my belly button has been hurting, and I was told it could be because I'm doing too much lifting, bending, anything like that sort. So I've just been keeping it clean, and I am still on my journey. I'm trying to get pregnant. I'm not giving up on that just yet. But getting here to the point where I am trying to get pregnant is, or has been, extremely, extremely rough. It has not been easy. Having endo is something that it's a struggle, because you are looked down on a lot when you go to the emergency room. For example, I can be having extreme pelvic pain, and deep down I know it's not the endo. For instance, I could feel like it could be an infection, or it could be a cyst. And when you go to the emergency room, they kind of just look at you like, you have endo, obviously, so why are you here? You know that it's endo. And it's like, yeah, I know that it's endo, that I have endo, but it can also be another reason why I'm in so much pain. And I feel like when you go to the emergency room, they drag on trying to help you or order any tests, because they honestly feel like you're lying, or like it's just your endo, get over it. And I've had ER doctors basically say that in so many words. You know you have endo, why are you here? We can't do anything for you. And that sucks, you know? And also knowing that your fertility is up in the air, you know, you might be infertile, you might not be, is another rough one. Having to accept that you might or might not ever have kids, that there might be a point where you do need a hysterectomy, which I've been told. There is going to come a point where I'm going to need to get a hysterectomy, which is why I made the decision to try to get pregnant now. I'm going to be 30 years old. I don't want to be struggling with this when I'm in my 40s. So I made the decision to try to get pregnant. And it hasn't been easy. I have my endo flare-ups, and it's rough. Having 8 surgeries in my life is rough. Every surgery that I get is a harder recovery because I've had so many surgeries. Being looked at like you're making it all up is rough. Having to cancel plans because you're in pain is rough. People look at you like you're just bailing on them, you're making up excuses, and it's like, I'm not. I'm in pain. I can barely get out of bed some days. And they just look at you like you're ridiculous. And you're not. Having a heavy cycle is not normal. I am going to say that because a lot of women grow up thinking having heavy cycles is normal, that you just have to deal, and you don't, and it's not normal. If you have a heavy cycle and you're in extreme pain, you can barely get out of bed, you can barely do anything, get yourself checked. And I'm not saying, oh, you have endometriosis. I don't wish that on anyone. But it is better safe than sorry. There are days when I can barely get out of bed. There are days where I just want to lay on the couch and not do anything. I've lost many jobs because of this, because I've missed too many days, or because I needed surgery. And jobs are very, very hard-headed when it comes to giving you time off. So I've lost many jobs. I've had to accept the fact that I have to make a living. So I go to work some days in extreme pain. And I'll take bathroom breaks where I cry. That's my reality. and it sucks. But my biggest dream in life is to be a mom, and I'm gonna make that happen. Hopefully all natural, but if I have to do IVF, I will find a way to do it. I am going to be a mom, and I believe that. And I believe all my struggles with endometriosis, all of these surgeries that I've had, will be worth it when I have my baby. You know, when you're going through it in the moment, it does not seem worth it. And you want to give up so bad. You just want to say, screw it, I'm done. And there has been times where I have. I was convinced that I was just going to get a hysterectomy. I was done. But after a while, you kind of snap out of it and you think about what you really want. Because you saying, or you doing a hysterectomy, getting a hysterectomy done, that is final. You cannot get your uterus back. So I've had to really step back from my pain and think about it. Is this something that I truly want? Is this something that I'm going to be okay with? Obviously, if I have to do it, my doctor tells me you have no choice, then I have no choice. But making that choice because I want it is a whole different thing. So I've taken a step back and I've decided that I'm not going to have a hysterectomy just yet. I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to be a mom. It's going to happen for me. The painful nights, the crying, the surgeries, the recovery, the endless emergency room visits, it's going to be worth it. It has to be worth it to me. It's been rough, and I just keep telling myself that I am a survivor. You know, I know there are worse diseases out there. I know that there are people that go through worse, and my heart goes out to them because I've struggled with endometriosis and it has not been an easy struggle. I am tired of being cut open. I am tired of being in pain, and I am tired of feeling like, am I going to be a mom or not? So that is my story with endo. That is my struggle, and that is how many surgeries I've had. It's a lot, and it's a lot to deal with. It's not easy. You do fall into depression. I have fallen into depression really bad, you know, and it's a struggle when you are a couple, when you have someone in your life. I have gone many times telling him that he should find someone that is able to give him kids, and that's rough, you know, for him too, for me to say that. You know, he's told me we can adopt, which we absolutely can. I am not against adoption. My mama was adopted. But there's always that, I want to have a kid for my own. I want to experience pregnancy. I want to experience giving birth. The good and the bad, you know? And I've just come to terms with, it's going to happen one day for me. I just have to put in the work and be patient. And I think being patient is the hardest part. But my faith has gotten a lot better. I believe it will happen for me. I just have to wait. And like I said, put in the work, which I've been doing. I will make another video about my ovulation, how I've been tracking it, the vitamins that I've been taking, and all of that. But that is my story. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thanks for your support. If you have any stories or anything that you struggle with, if you have endometriosis and you've had a different route, if you've taken different medication or you have different remedies when you're on your cycle, drop them below. Help someone else out. This is a community that we need to support each other. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.